So hello students, welcome to the lecture. So students, as we have started the static GK part of modern history and we had started and covered the Governor General of Bengal, and now in the previous lecture we had started the Governor General of India. So in this lecture we are going to cover and we are going to continue basically the Governor General of India. Okay, so let's start. So in the Governor General of India, now we have Lord Ellenborough. Now we had Lord Ellenborough, okay, who was appointed as a Governor General of India from 1842 to 1844. Okay, during his time period, the Second Anglo-Sikh War was happened. Okay, which resulted in the defeat of Sikh Empire and the annexation of Punjab into British India. This war was further expanded British territories in India. So basically, what happened? The Treaty of Amritsar. The Treaty of Amritsar, which was signed between whom? Which was signed between Lord Minto and Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Okay, and who was the person who played a significant role in it? So his name was Charles Metcalfe. Charles Metcalfe was a person who played a significant role in this treaty, and as per the treaty, the east of Satluj would be declared as a territory of Sikh Empire. Okay, but when Maharaja Ranjit Singh died, okay, thereafter there was a tensions between the Britishers and as the Sikh Empire. Okay, this tension resulted into the Second Sikh Anglo War or Anglo-Sikh War basically. Okay, in this war, the Britishers were able to defeat the Sikh Empire. Okay, and by defeating the Sikh Empire, they started annexation and acquiring of new territories. Okay, basically they started to go inside the territories which were untouched by them. Okay, and the most important part of this is annexation of Sindh, okay, which is currently now in the Pakistan area. Okay, so first they started to occupy the Indian Punjab, which was also known as Eastern Punjab. Okay, thereafter they marched towards Sindh area of Pakistan as well. Got it? So Lord Ellenborough also oversaw the annexation of Sindh in 1843 after the Battle of Miani. So remember, the Battle of Miani was basically for the annexation of Sindh. And who was the Governor General of India during this time? Answer should be Lord Ellenborough. Okay, so the Lord Ellenborough was the Governor General of India during this time. Got it? Now let's move forward. Now we have Lord Hardinge. Lord Hardinge first. Okay, now we have Lord Hardinge first. Okay, who was appointed as a Governor General of India from 1844 to 1848. During his time period, the annexation of the Punjab was taken place. One of the major events during Lord Hardinge's first time as Viceroy was the annexation of the Punjab after the Anglo-Sikh War in 1849. This marked the end of Sikh Empire and added a substantial treaty of British India. Basically, we could say during the Lord Ellenborough, Second Anglo-Sikh War was started basically. Okay, and the Britishers were started defeating the Sikh Empire and penetrating into it. Got it? But during the time period of Lord Hardinge first, they were succeed in defeating the Sikh Empire and they were succeed in occupying the area which is for the Sindh, which is for the Punjab. Got it? So remember the difference. Now let's move forward. Now we have the Lord Dalhousie. Okay, why I'm emphasizing more on his name? Because Lord Dalhousie was the most significant Governor General of India. Okay. Lord Dalhousie implemented the doctrine of lapse policy. On what was mean by doctrine of lapse policy, I will tell you. Okay. Basically, lapse policy was a policy acquired by the Britishers, which simply state that if this is an emperor and he has no child, or basically no son, okay, then he cannot make adopted son as a new ruler. Okay, in simple terms, doctrine of lapse was that if the king and if the ruler had no son to be appointed as a new ruler, then he could not appoint the adopted son as a new ruler. Okay, he should be the real father of that particular child who is going to become a next ruler. If this not, then the empire would be fall under the control of British. Okay, so suppose, let me conclude it in simple so that you could understand it better. Let's suppose if this is the ruler, he had no permanent son, but he adopted someone. The ruler is X, the child is Y. He adopted Y to be as a new ruler. But as per the doctrine of lapse, this is not implemented. Okay, so that ruler could not attend Y as his heir because he is not his original son, but he is adopted. Okay, in this scenario, X kingdom will be fall under the control of British Empire. Okay, so that was the doctrine of lapse. Okay, which allowed the Britishers to annex princely states if they lacked the natural heir or if the ruler was deemed incompetent. Okay, so there are two main scenarios. First, which is for the natural heir. Second, if they found the ruler is not so competent to handle the situation, then there would be a process of annexation the kingdom by the British government. And what are the kingdoms for annexed by the British government? Let me tell you. These areas were started with Satara, then Jaitapur, then Sambhalpur, then Bhagat, then Udaipur, then Jhansi, then Nagpur, and Tanjore and Arcot. Okay, so basically these were the areas which were covered by the Britishers. Okay, like Satara, Jaitapur, Sambhalpur, Bhagat, Udaipur, Jhansi, Nagpur, and Arcot, serial wise. Okay, so these are the serial wise order. So these areas were occupied by the Britishers under doctrine of lapse. Either they did not have their natural heirs or their rulers were declared incompetent by the British government. Got it? Now let's move forward. Now if we talk about the infrastructure development, then Dalhousie was known for his significant contributions to the infrastructure development in India. Like he introduced railways. Okay, then Public Work Department, PWD, basically known as Okay. PWD. Second after telephone lines. First engineering college. Roorkee. Okay. So these were some of the significant contributions made by the Dalhousie in the infrastructure of India. Okay. Thereafter, we have introduction of uniform postage. He also introduced the concept of uniform postage with the issuance of the famous Sindh Doc stamps in Sindh, which marked the beginning of India's postal revolution. Okay. So basically, as we know, India has the longest postal system. Okay, India has the longest, or you can say the largest postal, not longest, but the largest postal system working under the uniform postage, which was basically introduced by Dalhousie. So remember that Dalhousie was introduced the doctrine of lapse and captured these areas: Satara, Jaitapur, Sambalpur, Bhagat, Udaipur, Jhansi, Nagpur, Tanjore and Arcot. Thereafter, he also contributed in the infrastructures like the railways, like the PWD department, like the telephone lines, like First Engineering College at Roorkee. He has also introduced the uniform postage, on which today also we are working. Okay, and Dalhousie Hill Station also. Got it? Now let's move forward. Now we have the Viceroys of India. Okay, remember I had told you first we will start with the Governor General of Bengal. Then we will have Governor General of India. And now we have Viceroy of India. Okay. So what are the reasons behind these transitions? First was established by Regulating Act of 1773. Second was established by Charter Act of 1833. And third was established by Government of India Act 1858. Okay, so these are the acts which are responsible for the transition of Governor General of Bengal to the Governor General of India and Governor General of India to the Viceroy of India. Got it? Now let's start discussion over Viceroy of India. Basically, the first Viceroy of India was Lord Canning. The first Viceroy of India was Lord Canning. Got it? But what was the prime reason behind introducing the Government of India Act 1858? Let me tell you. Remember Dalhousie? We had just covered him. Okay, Dalhousie, basically he submitted the report to the British government, submitted the report to British Parliament, in which he criticized company's rule. Okay, basically the Dalhousie was the person who pointed out the atrocities and the misgovernance doing by the British companies. Okay, primarily the British East India Company. British East India Company. So he was the first person who pointed out that the British East India Company is not capable to manage the India. Okay, he criticized this, and even he mentioned that if something big happened to India, so British East India Company will be declared as responsible for it. Okay, and then we had a significant event which is known as the Indian Rebellion of 1857, which is known as the Indian Rebellion of 1857. Okay, so let's start the deep discussion over it. Deep discussion over Indian Rebellion of 1857. Got it? So basically, what was the cause? There are 4 causes behind this: political, economical, social, and military. Okay, so if we talk about the political cause, then the doctrine of lapse. If we talk about the economical, then downgradation of Indian factories, or you can say Indian market. If we talk about the social, then basically the violation of Sathee. If we talk about the military, then behavior of officers, low pay, and Enfield rifles. Okay, so let's discuss them one by one. First is a doctrine of lapse. Okay, so doctrine of lapse was introduced during the time period of Dalhousie. Okay, we had just discussed that doctrine of lapse states that if the state do not have natural heir or the heir is adopted, then he will not recognized as a king, but the kingdom will be goes under the hands of British. Okay, so as per the doctrine of lapse, 9 kingdoms of India were occupied by the Britishers. Okay, this drove up political attentions towards British rule. Second was economical, because there was an industrial revolution in Britain. Okay, so what was happening? If this is India, this is Britain. So the raw material was exporting to Britain, which was cheaper. Okay, and the finished goods were coming to India, which were costlier. Okay, so this was the cycle going on. The Britishers were exporting the raw material from India to Britain and were importing the finished goods from Britain to India. Okay, and also the machine-made goods of industrial revolutions were making handmade goods of India outdated. So due to this, there was a huge economical loss to the Indian society. Okay, the third was the social cause. Because of the abolition of Sathee, the orthodox group of Hindus was not happy. Okay, they was not so happy with the government decision to abolish the Sati Pratha, because they were assuming it as an attack on their religious identity. Got it? So they were against this fact. And the military cause were basically the behavior of the officers. Okay, the officers were not so behaved with the Indian soldiers. They generally abused them. They generally tried to show them downside of their natures. Okay, also there was a low pay to the to the Indian soldiers, not British, to the Indian soldiers. Okay, and also there was an introduction of Enfield rifles, and it was supposed that the bullet of Enfield rifles is made up of cow and pig meat. Okay, which was unpure for both Hindus and the Muslim soldiers. Got it? Because you have to bite the bullet from your mouth, and it is supposed that the bullet is made up of the meat of cow and pig. Got it? So these factors drive the first revolt of India, which is known as the Indian Rebellion of 1857. Got it? We will discuss about it in upcoming lectures. Till then, just remember. So this rebellion was happened in the 1857 during the time period of Lord Canning. Okay, And as we know that Dalhousie made a report to the British Parliament in which he claimed that the British East India Company is not so capable in maintaining India, and if something adversely happened, then this company should be liable. And same thing was happened, and the Government of India Act 1858 was passed to end companies rule in India. Okay, so the company's rule of India was ended by the Government of India Act 1858, and this established several things. First was Viceroy. Second was Secretary of Indian States or Secretary of States of India. Okay, and third was British Crown as powerful figure. Okay, so the first thing was established as a Viceroy. Basically, before this, if this is a crown, or you can say this is the ruler of London, then there is a Parliament of London. Okay, thereafter there is a East India Company, and then there is a East India Company, and then there is a Governor General. Okay, so this was the hierarchy before this act. Okay, but when the Viceroy was introduced, then the mediators were removed. The Viceroy is capable to directly report the Crown. Okay, thereafter the Secretary of India, the Secretary of States of India, basically you can say, was established by this act. Okay, and the Secretary of States of India was responsible to ensure that everything is going as per planning. Okay, whatever planning has been made in the London, whatever instructions have been received by the Crown, whatever instructions are given to the Viceroy, they all should be done as per the planning. This is to be ensured by the Secretary of State of India. Okay, then British Crown as powerful figure. Before this, the British East India Company was maintaining the Indian affairs. Okay, but after the revolt of 1857 or the Indian Rebellion of 1857, the British Crown removed East India Company from India and entire control was taken over by British Crown. Got it? And this entire things were happening during the Lord Canning. Got it? I hope you have understood it. Okay? Now, let's move forward. Okay? Now we have Lord Alling first, who was the Viceroy of India from 1862 to 1863. Okay? He was the first person, sorry, not first person, he was a person who supported Indian Civil Services, recruitment and training of Indian Civil Services officers. ICAs plays a vital role in the administration of British India. As we know, the Indian Civil Services were basically introduced by Lord Cornwallis as convenient and unconvenient. That was the criteria. We know the convenient for the British officers and for the higher position. The unconvenient were basically for the Indian soldiers and basically for the low positions. Okay, but Lord Alling first was a person who considered civil services as a part of better administration. Okay, so that's why he reformed the recruitment and training of the Indian Civil Services. Got it? So this is about the Lord Alling first. So students, basically in this lecture we have covered the Governor General of India and we had started the Viceroy of India. Okay, in the next lecture we will continue with the Viceroy of India. Till then, just revise the facts which I have told you so that you will be able to capture the facts which we will be discussing in the next lecture. Okay, till then, thank you.